Early in the morning, just as I woke up, I received a Weibo notification with the title, "I don't think my cousin deserves her husband." Out of curiosity, I clicked to see what it was about. The post said my cousin had only graduated from an average university. Her parents ran a small business in a small American town, and the whole family was plain and unremarkable, never having experienced anything significant. She was short, not pretty, and didn't know how to take care of herself. Her style was outdated, and back in school, people used to call her the ugly duckling. Nobody liked her. Meanwhile, her husband was tall, handsome, and the CEO of a listed corporation. The post claimed my cousin must have used all kinds of tricks to deceive him, and that the poster felt sorry for him. When I looked at the profile photo of the person who posted it, I realized it was my younger cousin, Lily, who had just started working at my husband's company, and the unworthy cousin she mentioned was actually me. I couldn't help but laugh in anger and immediately turned to wake up my husband, Ethan, who was still half asleep beside me. "Looks like I've climbed too high, huh?" I said bitterly. Still groggy, Ethan instinctively wrapped his arms around me. "What's wrong, baby?" he murmured. I handed him my phone. He scrolled through the post, then suddenly laughed, fully awake. "She's talking about you? My wife graduated from one of the top universities. Who would dare to make up something like this?" Then his expression changed as he looked closer. "Wait, isn't that your cousin, Lily? I almost didn't recognize her from this photo. Either way, insulting you is the same as insulting me." He leaned forward and kissed my forehead. I took a screenshot of the post and messaged Lily, "Delete it and apologize to me." She only replied with one word, "Okay." That evening, when Ethan came home from work, Lily followed behind him. Her eyes were brimming with tears as she looked at him and said softly, "You misunderstood me, Ethan." Ethan's voice turned cold. "If you have something to say it to Emma. Don't stand in front of me." Lily turned to me, denying everything. She claimed she only wrote it as a fictional story for clicks, that she didn't mean anything by it, but the content clearly implied me. Seeing that I didn't react, she stomped her foot and pouted, whining to Ethan, "Ethan." Then she deliberately stumbled toward him, pretending to fall. Ethan calmly stepped aside and she fell to the floor. "I already deleted the post," she cried. "I didn't mean anything. Why did you push me?" I looked down at her coldly. "Deleted it? Then why does it still show up? Did you delete it or just hide it?" "You know the answer." Lily fell silent. Ethan's patience snapped. "Women like you disgust me. I can't stand fake people, especially when they work for me. Get out of my house before you dirty the floor." Lily reluctantly deleted the post and apologized. I didn't want to argue any further. I just wanted her to remember she had no right to interfere in anyone else's life. But she wasn't as smart as I thought. That night, she posted on her social feed, "It's hard being honest these days. You can't even tell the truth anymore." I replied, "Some people do shameful things and still think they're clever. Attacking others and calling it truth? I don't mind if the police have to get involved." Less than 2 minutes later, she deleted that post too. I thought it was finally over, that she'd learned her lesson and would stop. But I was too naive. A few days later, while chatting with my friend Sarah, she sent me a Weibo post and said, "Hey, there's this account that keeps showing off her husband. It's so sweet it makes my teeth ache. I'm dying of jealousy." Curious, I clicked on it. The post said, "Just graduated and my husband arranged a job for me in his company. He's afraid I'll be mistreated outside, so he wants me to stay close so he can take good care of me." Attached was a picture of a polished redwood desk. "Lately I've been feeling exhausted," it continued, "so he even took over my shift and bought me sweets to cheer me up. He really is the sweetest man in the world." The picture was a selfie. Lily was holding a small, delicate ice cream cake, smiling at the camera. Anyone looking at it could easily imagine things far beyond the photo itself. But the moment I saw that cake, my heart sank. It looked painfully familiar. Just a few days earlier, during the scorching summer heat, Ethan had felt sorry for his employees who were working overtime. Out of concern, he'd told his assistant to buy ice cream cakes for everyone in the company. I worked at the branch office, so Ethan and I didn't often cross paths during the day. Yet somehow, he still remembered to bring me my own share of cake from the office. If I had only seen that one post, I might have brushed it off with a bit of doubt, but the next one made me completely certain. That account belonged to Lily, my cousin. "A hard-working man is the most handsome," she wrote. "Every time I see my husband working, I just can't take my eyes off him." Attached was a photo of a sleek executive office. A man was seated at his desk, pen in hand, deeply focused on writing something. The camera caught only the lower half of his face, the sharp line of his jaw, but after 3 years of sleeping beside Ethan, I could recognize that jaw anywhere. Even more telling was the pair of cufflinks glinting on his sleeve, the very ones I'd given him for his birthday last year. The sheer shamelessness made my skin crawl. I was never the kind of woman who complained about life or blamed fate. I didn't like whining or stirring up drama. But if someone had the nerve to try and play the homewrecker, then I wasn't about to sit back quietly. After calming myself down, I greeted Ethan with a bright smile when he returned from work that evening. Casually, I asked, "Honey, are you guilty of bigamy by any chance?" He looked at me, amused. "If I could clone myself, you might actually have a case there," he joked. Ethan had always been lighthearted, but the moment I handed him my phone to show him the post, his playful expression froze in shock. "Someone's doing this on purpose," he said seriously. "They're trying to slander me. Emma, sweetheart, you have to believe me." "Then why is she calling you her husband?" I asked coldly. "I have no idea what's wrong with that crazy woman," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "She's lost her mind." Afraid I might actually believe it, Ethan grabbed my hand tightly, almost desperate, as if he was ready to drop to his knees. Honestly, I did believe him. His job kept him busy, and his position meant he dealt with all kinds of people, including plenty of beautiful women. But he had always kept a clear boundary. Not once had there ever been a real rumor about him. Looking at his face then, I could tell he already had an idea who was behind it. He didn't say it aloud, and I didn't ask. "Don't get upset, baby, Channing," he said softly. "It's bad for your health. Once I find out who that vixen is, I'll make her pay. I think I already know who it is. Just work with me on this, we'll expose her together." That very same day, I found that Lily's fake account had posted again. "Got promoted. My husband didn't want to see me running around exhausted, so he gave me a higher position. His baby girl deserves to be pampered." Below was a photo of a new desk, placed conveniently close to Ethan's office, with a bright bouquet of red roses sitting on top. Turned out those roses weren't even hers. They were borrowed, a gift from a coworker's boyfriend, just to make her little scene look convincing. I smirked and quietly saved every screenshot, every photo. When the time came to settle the score, evidence would make things much easier. The next day, I happened to see Lily in the hallway, talking loudly on the phone with my uncle. Her voice was so high-pitched and excited that everyone could hear. "Uncle, Ethan adores me so much. I just started working here and already got a promotion and a raise. He takes such good care of me. It's like he can't stand to see me tired." From the tone of her voice, I could tell she was fishing for approval, and I had no doubt my uncle was feeling quite pleased on the other end. For the first time, I actually found her big mouth useful. It saved me the trouble of having to explain anything myself. Bookmark back. If you've listened this far, I'm sure this story has made quite an impression on you, hasn't it? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tiny Diary YT. Your support keeps me motivated to tell more stories. Back when Lily graduated and couldn't find a job, my uncle had swallowed his pride and asked my mother for help. My mom had once been deeply grateful to him for helping her through hard times, so she wanted to repay that kindness. I'd always remembered that debt of gratitude. To help my mother fulfill her wish, I agreed to let Lily work at Ethan's company. Now that she'd gotten her promotion and raise, I figured the debt was fully repaid. That favor was cleared. From now on, there was nothing left between us. After her phone call, Lily turned toward me, twisting her waist and speaking in a teasing tone. "I got promoted," she said proudly, "and now I'll be working even closer to Ethan. It'll be easier for us to spend time together." I chuckled faintly, glancing at the smug look on her face. No matter what I said, she wouldn't get it. "Look at me now," she continued, full of herself. "Things are turning out so well for me. Your husband treats you one way, but when it comes to me? But deep down, he still cares about me. Just wait, Lily said with a smug little smirk. Sooner or later, I'll be the one sitting in your place. I raised an eyebrow. My place? Do you mean my position at the company or in this house? She gave a careless laugh. What's the difference? Either way, it'll all be mine eventually. What exactly do you mean, it'll all be yours? The sharp, cold voice behind her made her freeze. Ethan had just stepped out of his office, his eyes full of disgust as he looked at her. No, it's not what you think, Lily stammered, her voice suddenly turning soft and sugary. We were just chatting, that's all. You didn't call me when you got here. I'd been waiting for you so long. Ethan didn't even glance her way. He turned straight toward me instead, his expression softening as he leaned down, his hand brushing over mine as if to comfort me. He looked like he'd lift me into his arms right there, just to reassure me. I pretended to act natural and looped my arm through his. Didn't you say we were having lunch together? I said lightly. Then glancing toward Lily, I added pointedly, your brother-in-law must be hungry too. Lily's expression changed instantly. She put on her best pitiful face, her voice turning sweet as honey, eyes full of longing as she looked at Ethan. Aren't you hungry, Ethan? He didn't even flinch. I told the secretary to send you back to work. Why are you still wandering around? Where's your efficiency? If you don't finish your tasks today, forget about any overtime pay. Do your job properly. I smiled politely, keeping my voice even. Your dad must be expecting great things from you, Lily. Don't disappoint him. That day, I called my mother twice. She told me that recently my uncle, Lily's father, had been bragging everywhere about his daughter's success, saying she was on the verge of making it big. He'd started looking down on our less wealthy relatives, and even when talking to my mom, his tone was full of arrogance. He said he just wants his daughter to move up in life, my mom sighed over the phone. He was going on about how she already holds a higher position at the company. Then he said, what's beauty worth? It's just a painted clown's mask. No need to compete over that. I tried to comfort her, but inside I felt an even deeper resentment toward that mother-daughter pair. A week later, I ran into Lily again. She looked like she was walking on air, her chin tilted so high she could have tripped over her own pride. As she passed by, she deliberately bumped her shoulder into mine and sneered, a smart dog doesn't block the way, right? I shot her a cold look. Dogs don't block the way, I replied evenly. So why are you standing in mine? And if a dog bites people, that's a real problem. Her jaw tightened as she clenched her teeth and stomped off. Even after she was 10 steps away, I could still feel her hateful glare burning into my back. That night, sometime after 11, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lily, an attached photo. It was a picture of her and Ethan, half-dressed. Ethan was shirtless, his arm wrapped around her waist, his expression seemingly full of affection. The caption read, "Hey sis, I'm showing off your husband." My blood boiled. I kicked Ethan hard to wake him and shoved the phone in his face. Startled, he snatched it from my hand the second he saw it, like he was afraid I might rip it to shreds, or him. She's spreading fake photos again, he said quickly. If she keeps this up, I'll report her to the police. Lily must have seen my typing bubble, because another message popped up almost instantly, full of mockery. How could it be fake? I told you, your spot will be mine sooner or later. I curved my lips into a cold smile, glancing at Ethan's face, dark as night, his jaw tight. Without another word, he suddenly pulled me close and kissed my cheek hard. Just wait, he said quietly. I'll make her pay for this. Then, without hesitation, he grabbed his phone from under the pillow and really did call the police. He refused to let me step in, handling everything himself, filing an official complaint against Lily for defamation, invasion of privacy, and spreading false information. That very night, she was taken to the police station. According to Ethan's assistant, Lily was held there until 5 a.m. before being released. As part of the settlement Ethan arranged, she was required to issue a public apology and pay $15,000 in compensation. The next morning, while I was still finishing breakfast, my phone rang again. It was Lily, her voice shrill and trembling with anger. "Emma, this is all your fault. If it weren't for you, Ethan would never have treated me like this. You manipulative witch. Just wait." I looked at the phone and couldn't help but scoff. "Is that what you call an apology? Clearly, a night in the police station hadn't been enough to knock any sense into her. Lily still firmly believed that Ethan would never truly turn against her. Lily started yelling at me over the phone, calling me a cruel, heartless woman who didn't deserve to die peacefully. Before I could even respond, she hung up. Just as I expected, not even a minute later, Ethan's phone rang. He looked at the screen, sighed, and turned on the speaker. "Ethan." Lily's voice came through, dripping with fake sweetness. She dragged out the last syllable of his name in a tone so saccharine it made my stomach turn. "I don't have that much money. Can't you go easy on me? If not, maybe you can just deduct it from my salary little by little?" Ethan's voice was ice cold. "It'll be deducted, every cent, until it's fully paid." I raised an eyebrow, glancing at him as he hung up. His expression was filled with disgust. The truth was, Ethan had already wanted to fire her that same night, but I was the one who told him not to. A night at the police station wasn't nearly enough for someone like her to understand the meaning of consequences. People like Lily, if you go easy on them, they never learn. But instead of keeping her head down, she changed tactics. Now she started playing the victim. She spread rumors around the office, claiming I was petty and vindictive, that I'd made things difficult for her over something small. She even went so far as to tell people that Ethan, her boss, had refused to pay her salary. One afternoon, I saw her walking out of Ethan's office, smiling brightly with a fancy box of chocolates in her hand. One of the interns nearby asked curiously, "Wow, the boss gave you a gift? That's so nice." "Oh no," Lily replied shyly, lowering her head and acting all modest. "I guess he just worries I don't eat properly, so he gave me a little something to keep up my energy." As she spoke, she glanced sideways, her eyes flickering toward me, and then she suddenly pretended to notice my presence. She quickly hid the box of chocolates behind her back, her face full of feigned innocence. It was the perfect, sweet, and innocent act. If I hadn't known her, I might have believed it. I didn't call her out. Instead, I lightly knocked on Ethan's office door and said, "Honey, did you throw away that box of chocolates I told you to get rid of yesterday?" He looked up, confused, but answered right away. "Yeah, I did. Why?" "Are you sure?" I pressed, keeping my tone casual. He glanced around. "Maybe the cleaning staff took care of it." I nodded slightly. "Oh, I see." Then, turning to Lily, whose face was now red as a tomato, I tilted my head. "Strange. That box you're holding looks exactly like the one I told him to throw away yesterday." Her forced smile twitched. "No way, you must be mistaken." She tried to hurry off, but I wasn't done. "Did I?" I asked calmly. "Then what's that you're hiding behind your back?" "It's nothing," she stammered, her voice shaking. The whole office had gone silent. One of her coworkers, who had just complimented her, now looked away awkwardly and muttered, "Wait, you picked it up from the trash." Lily froze. Ethan immediately cut in, his voice firm. "That's enough. From now on, she can be in charge of cleaning up all the trash in the company." "You can't make me do that," Lily protested, trying to sound indignant. "I came here to work, not to clean garbage." "Oh." Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly losing patience. "Didn't you just do exactly that? Then do it properly next time." After that incident, Lily became the laughingstock of the entire company. But of course she blamed me for everything. It was almost funny, really. During the day, she would text me threats. "Just wait, I'll make you regret this. I won't let you get away with it." But at night, she'd use her fake social media account to post about her romantic moments with Ethan, still using that same box of chocolate she'd picked out of the trash. She even kept it as a prop for 2 whole days. I didn't argue or defend myself. I simply took screenshots of everything. Every photo, every caption, every lie. I didn't need to fight her. Watching her put on her one-woman comedy act was entertaining enough. Every day, she showed up in new outfits, perfectly made up, deliberately walking past Ethan's office over and over. But Ethan didn't even glance her way. The only thing he said to her, in that calm, cutting tone of his, was, "Why are you still stalling? Pay the money you owe." Instead of backing down, Lily tried to push things further. But Ethan didn't just ignore her. He filed an official lawsuit against her for deliberately refusing to pay her debt. He immediately requested to freeze all her bank accounts. And that's when things finally hit her. She was completely out of money. But when someone like Lily runs out of money, they always find another way to survive. Lily stood at my doorstep, dragging her little suitcase behind her, putting on the most pitiful face imaginable. "Ethan," she whimpered, "I've run out of money. I can't even afford a place to stay, and I haven't eaten in days. Can you please let me stay here for a few nights?" Her words sounded desperate, but her makeup was flawless, her lipstick perfect, her lashes curled, her foundation smooth. She didn't look like someone starving or broke. Ethan didn't even glance at her. His voice was firm, cold, final. "No," he lifted his hand to shut the door. "But we're family," Lily protested, wedging herself halfway through the doorway. "You can't just let me sleep on the street." Emma was the one who introduced me to this job. "Now that things turned out this way, people will say she's bullying me. You can't just throw me out like this, can you?" She sniffled dramatically, her tone turning manipulative. "In the end, I'll be seen as the poor victim, and you'll be the one punished by karma for her sins." Then she added in a soft, pitiful voice, "Didn't I give all my money to you two anyway?" Through the entire conversation, she didn't look at me once. Her eyes stayed fixed on Ethan as if I didn't even exist. I almost laughed. Before I could say anything, Ethan's patience snapped. His expression hardened, voice rising with disgust. "Get out before I call security." Then he slammed the door shut. I knew she wouldn't leave. She'd come prepared. That suitcase wasn't for nothing. She was the kind who never backed down until she got what she wanted. But what I didn't expect was that she wouldn't just refuse to go. She'd throw away her dignity entirely. Barely 10 minutes later, noise erupted outside. When I opened the door, there she was, sitting on the ground, sobbing loudly. Her clothes were wrinkled on purpose. Her hair mussed just enough to look tragic. "How can you treat me like this?" she cried. "I gave you all my money, and now you won't even let me in. You won't feed me, won't help me. What kind of people are you?" A few neighbors had gathered around, whispering among themselves. "I heard this family's pretty well off," one said. "Yeah, but look how heartless they are," another muttered. "Money really does make people cold." Lily, seeing that I'd opened the door, immediately wiped her tears and stumbled forward, grabbing my arm. "I don't have a single dollar left," she sobbed. "I was fined by the police for making a mistake." My voice was calm, but icy. "Do you need me to remind you what that mistake was?" Her face drained of color. She hesitated, then mumbled, "I just want a place to stay for a little while. I don't mean any harm." "I could have sworn you had a husband," I said lightly. "Didn't you say he was rich? Why don't you stay with him?" She froze, then slowly let go of my arm. I gave her a thin smile. "You already have a husband, and yet here you are, standing at my door acting like someone stole him from you. Don't you think that's a bit shameful?" "I don't," she started, but before she could finish, the security guard came over and dragged her away. I closed the door, turned off the security camera, and stopped the recording. That little performance of hers had been good enough for an Oscar, no extras needed. But I knew she wasn't really homeless. Sure enough, the very next day, she showed up again, perfectly dressed, her face glowing as if nothing had happened. She had made a scene the night before, just to gain attention. She wasn't going to give up so easily. After all, she'd once told me straight to my face, "We both came from that same poor ditch. So why do you get to marry rich and live easy, while I have nothing? If I can't have it, no one else should either." I looked at her with nothing but contempt. She could only see the glamour behind someone else's success, never the struggle it took to earn it. I had come from the same small, poor hometown as she had. No family connections, no one to pull strings for me. I built everything myself in this city. Every bit of it earned through effort and sacrifice. Ethan and I didn't get together because he wanted to take care of me. We built each other up, step by step, side by side. But Lily kept trampling over every boundary I had, using clumsy, laughable tricks. I was tired of the show. Watching her pathetic little drama no longer entertained me. It disgusted me, and when something stops being entertaining, it's time to end it. So I gathered everything, all her so-called achievements. Every screenshot, every photo, every message. The proof of her lies about me and Ethan, her failed schemes, her desperate attempts to twist the story. I posted them all on major social media platforms and hired a PR team to push the story to the top of the trending list. The whole company knew. The relatives knew. Even my uncle found out. Everyone was shocked. That sweet, quiet girl turned out to be that disgusting, they whispered. She was given a good job out of kindness. And this is what she did? Is she mentally unstable or something? Even her fake Weibo accounts were flooded with insults and hate comments. Lily never expected things to spiral this far out of control, nor did she expect me to have that much evidence against her. She completely lost it, crying hysterically, snot and tears everywhere, but still didn't show the slightest hint of remorse. She just kept shouting that I was jealous, that I had defamed her online out of envy. She clung to Ethan again like he was her last lifeline. "Ethan, you have to help me," she cried. She really believed I had fabricated everything out of jealousy. "I didn't do anything," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Ethan, you know me. A person needs a conscience. You know that, right? You think I have anything that Emma could possibly be jealous of?" Ethan didn't even look at her. His face was blank. To him, she was nothing but trash now. When she still refused to leave, Ethan pulled out his phone, opened our family group chat, and posted a photo of her right then. Disheveled, pathetic, humiliated. "Whoever raised this shameless green tea act," he wrote, "come pick her up before she embarrasses your whole family in public. Disgusting." After that, Lily had no face left to show. She packed up and left the company for good. At first, I honestly wanted to help her, to at least give her a way to start over. But things ended the exact opposite of what I hoped. From that day on, Lily finally stopped causing trouble. Even my uncle didn't call to blame us. The damage this time had been total, reputation flayed to the bone. Anyone with a shred of dignity would have learned their lesson. I really thought it was over. I thought life would finally go back to normal. But less than a week later, everything exploded again. It started when my uncle posted in the family group chat, saying Lily wasn't doing well, that she wandered around the house like a ghost, dazed and lifeless. He even hinted that it was all because of me and Ethan, that we were the ones who drove her to that state. Ethan and I didn't respond. After all, he was an elder, and neither of us wanted to escalate pointless family drama. But my silence only made him louder. He started openly slandering us, calling us heartless, cold-blooded, inhuman. My mother and uncle ended up in a terrible argument. She shouted that he had no right to talk like that he wasn't acting like an older brother at all. But he only grew more furious. "They're the ones who made my daughter depressed," he screamed. "Every day she says she wants to die, and I can't even speak up. Listen here, if anything happens to her, I'll make them pay with their lives." And right after those words, Lily jumped into the river. Fortunately, someone saw and pulled her out in time. She wasn't hurt. She didn't even go to the hospital, just went straight home and locked herself in, crying about how she had no face left to live, how she couldn't bear to see anyone again. My uncle, emboldened by her little attempt, doubled down. He demanded that Ethan and I take responsibility for her emotional damage. I couldn't help but laugh coldly. And how exactly are we supposed to take responsibility? Feed her for life? My uncle sneered back. "Nothing that extreme. Money will do." Ethan's face turned crimson with anger. "I'd rather throw the money into the river than give a single dollar to people like you." I fully agreed. Later that night, my mother called. She told me the truth. Lily was indeed hiding at home all day, but that suicide attempt was nothing more than a performance. She hadn't jumped into the river at all. She'd only dipped her shirt into the water to make it look wet. When she got home, her hair was still perfectly dry. But my uncle took that fake story and spread it everywhere, telling everyone that his daughter had tried to kill herself out of grief and humiliation. And of course, it worked. People who didn't know the full story rushed to take her side, the so-called poor, pitiful victim. Even those who had previously scolded my uncle started softening, saying, "Well, maybe the girl's been through enough." I wanted to just let it go. But suddenly, everyone turned around and accused us of ruining someone's life, demanding that Ethan and I give a public explanation. Ethan, seeing there was nothing left to say, calmly left the family group chat. He told me I should do the same. "People who live by completely different values can't coexist peacefully," he said. "Every extra word is just a waste of time." My family came from a small rural town, nothing to be ashamed of. I'd never tried to hide that. My parents didn't have fancy degrees, but they worked themselves to the bone to raise me properly. Yet, none of our relatives ever saw their sacrifices or my efforts. All they saw was that the girl from the countryside had moved to the city, living comfortably, with everything she could want. They called it unfair. When I first graduated college, they used every excuse to ask me for favors, job recommendations, money, connections. If I helped, it was what family should do. If I couldn't, they said I'd grown arrogant, that I looked down on my poor relatives. At first I tried to help, but no matter what I did, it was never enough. Even my mother was scolded because of it. Eventually I decided to stop trying and cut ties altogether. But now, because of Lily's mess, all their old grudges resurfaced. They ganged up, spreading stories, twisting the past, blaming everything on me. I didn't care. I followed Ethan's advice and left the group completely. Right around that time, a Weibo account under the name Emily suddenly climbed to the top of the trending searches. The post was simple, but it flipped the entire situation upside down. It read, "Don't be fooled by the earlier post exposing my cousin. All the screenshots and photos are fake. The girl in question is currently suffering from severe depression and has repeatedly tried to take her own life. Her father, an elderly man, cries every day and never dares to leave her side. The one who slandered her is her cousin, a jealous, malicious woman who destroyed her life out of spite. That poor girl could have had a bright future, but now she's been forced back to her hometown. Please, everyone, don't let evil people ruin good ones." But it didn't stop there. The post went on to fabricate an entire list of lies, saying I had seduced a professor to get into college, framed a classmate to eliminate competition, and that I'd climbed up in the city through questionable relationships. It even accused me of cheating on my husband long ago. Of course, the timing was perfect, just as public attention on the scandal was high. The post spread like wildfire. Before I even understood what was happening, the internet mob had already come for me. Rich and still that petty? She made her cousin work for free for months and still demanded $100,000 in compensation. If I had a sister like that, I'd kill myself too. Kill herself? Please. Her whole family deserves to go down. She's just a poor girl. Why push her to the edge like that? The comments grew nastier and nastier. Some people even claimed I had locked Lily in my house and starved her until she went insane. Before long, all my personal information was dug up, where I worked, where I lived, even my ID number was almost leaked. Lily must have been seething with hatred, determined to drag me down with her. Insults and accusations flooded in like a storm. I had to change my phone number, move to a new place. Saying I wasn't scared would have been a lie. Having my privacy ripped apart like that, with strangers hunting me online and threatening to show up at my door, it was terrifying. At first I hadn't planned to make things worse. I thought staying silent would calm everything down. But she kept pushing, step by step, forcing me into a corner. And I wasn't going to keep playing the soft target for her to crush whenever she pleased. Ethan refused to let me go anywhere alone, not even to visit my parents. Every day after work, Ethan would drive straight to my office to pick me up. The moment he saw me, he'd pull me into his arms and hold me tightly. "Don't be afraid," he'd whisper, his deep, steady voice calming me instantly. "I'm here." This time, I could tell he was truly angry. "With people like that," he said, his tone dark, "just exposing them isn't enough. You have to strip them to the bone." In his arms, I felt safe, safer than I'd felt in a long time. Before meeting him, I had always carried everything on my own. No matter how much it hurt or how unfair things were, I just swallowed it down and kept going. But since having him by my side, he'd become my shelter. The one I could lean on, the one who shielded me from every storm. "You're too good to me," I murmured, tightening my arms around him. All my remaining fear and confusion seemed to melt away in that moment. He smiled gently, brushing a kiss against my forehead. "You should have realized this sooner," he said softly. "Lies don't last forever, Emma. The truth always comes out. It's only a matter of time." Maybe because he truly cared, Ethan acted faster than ever. He gathered all the evidence, the police reports, the teachers' and classmates' testimonies, even statements from colleagues and friends. Everything was collected and verified. And finally, the farce that Lily and my uncle had put on, came to an end. Ethan didn't settle things privately. He filed an official lawsuit. Not just against Lily, but against my uncle as well. When the officers arrived at my uncle's house, Lily was lounging comfortably on the couch, eating sunflower seeds. Her face was glowing with health, not a trace of depression anywhere. "Did we kill someone or burn down a house?" my uncle shouted as soon as he saw the police. "Why are we being sued?" He jumped up, waving his arms angrily. "What happened to freedom of speech? Don't tell me we can't say anything now. They badmouthed my daughter first. I should be the one suing them." Lily's mother grabbed his hand, crying, "See, I told you. They're just abusing their power. They can say whatever they want, but we can't say a thing." Then Lily chimed in, pretending to look pitiful. "You don't understand, Uncle. She made me join her company just to humiliate me every day." My uncle, always the type to believe whatever he wanted, didn't stop to think. Furious, he grabbed a stick and actually tried to chase the officers out, shouting that he'd kill me if he ever saw me again. Some people really can't help but destroy themselves. Because of Lily's lies, my uncle completely lost control and paid a heavy price. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison and ordered to pay $15,000 in damages. As for Lily, she was fined another $25,000, but she acted as if nothing had happened. She didn't care, didn't flinch, didn't cooperate, didn't even pretend to be remorseful. This time, Ethan and I didn't bother to show mercy. People like her didn't understand reason, they only understood consequences. When she refused to pay, the court enforced the judgment. Her house was seized and auctioned off. I heard she sat in a corner of the empty house crying all day long. That Lunar New Year, my parents came to visit us. During dinner, they mentioned that Lily had just gotten married a few days earlier. "Well," I said quietly, "at least that's good news." I didn't feel much of anything. It had been so long since I'd heard her name that the mention of it barely stirred me. "At least now she has a husband," I added. "Maybe she'll stop causing trouble." My father sighed. "Good news? More like karma." He shook his head warily. "You should have seen what she's become. Her father's in prison, her house is gone, no decent family would take her as a daughter-in-law. She ended up marrying that simple-minded boy from the Wu family. It's been 6 months, and she's still not pregnant. Now her husband beats and curses her every day. No one defends her anymore. Don't bring her up during the holidays, it just ruins the mood." I nodded, changing the subject to my parents' health, telling them to stay with us a bit longer. Even though Ethan's work kept him busy, he came home on time every evening while my parents were staying with us. He wanted to ease their worries, to show them that he truly loved me and that our life together was happy, peaceful. The last time I ever saw Lily again, she was wearing an old padded jacket, stooping in the cold yard to feed her chickens. When she noticed me, she froze for a moment, then instinctively placed her hand over her belly, which had just begun to show. She must have been pregnant. That much was obvious. But the way she stared at me, her eyes glinting with malice, made my skin crawl. "You'll never have children," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. "Just wait, you'll die alone." I smirked coldly. "Maybe I will, maybe I won't," I said. "But the only thing keeping you relevant now is that belly of yours." Her face twisted with rage. "1 child isn't enough for me. I'll have 2, 3 more. You jealous bitch, you'll die a miserable death." "Careful," I said calmly as I walked past her. "You're shouting too much, might hurt the baby." Then I glanced back briefly, my voice still steady. "Some people don't deserve pity, you should focus on keeping that pregnancy safe. Because if something happens to that baby, you might be the one who can't rest in peace." Without another word, I kept walking, but I could still feel her hateful stare burning into my back, sharp as knives. Just as I was about to turn the corner, I heard someone shouting from behind her. "Didn't I tell you to feed the chickens? What are you standing there for, being lazy again? You think being pregnant means you don't have to work? If you dare give birth to a girl, I'll beat you to death." That must have been her infamous mother-in-law. I turned down another alley, the curses still echoing behind me. That was the last time I ever saw Lily. The first time I met Ethan was when he came to interview for the position of marketing director at the company where I worked. "Give me one reason why I should hire you," he said, his tone firm, his sharp eyes sizing me up. I looked him straight in the eye. Because within 1 quarter, I'll double your company's revenue. He gave me that opportunity, and I didn't let him down. Ethan had always respected people with real ability. Whenever anyone praised me in front of him, he'd nod approvingly, never hiding his admiration. Before long, I'd become the center of attention in the office. Later, I found out I was the first person he'd ever openly complimented like that. People even started saying it was only a matter of time before I became the next department head. But where there's light, there's always shadow. Admiration from some means jealousy from others. Soon, I became the target of schemes and sabotage. My manager deliberately made things difficult for me. The presentation I'd stayed up all night to prepare mysteriously vanished. Mistakes I hadn't made were pinned on me. Within weeks, my entire world at work turned upside down, like falling straight from the clouds into the mud. Then, a week later, someone stole my new project proposal and submitted it as their own. Starting over from scratch felt impossible. That day, after another exhausting, miserable shift, I came home completely drained. As soon as I closed the door, I broke down, sobbing uncontrollably, all composure gone. That night, I drowned my frustration in wine and mindless TV dramas. The next morning, I called in sick. I locked myself in my room, avoiding the world entirely for 2 days and one long, sleepless night. I don't know if destiny really exists, but during those 2 days, I missed countless calls and messages. I only answered one, from Ethan. He didn't comfort me, he didn't scold me either. His voice was calm, even gentle. "How are you feeling? Better yet, I'm looking forward to seeing your new plan next week." I let out a bitter laugh. "I'll probably just disappoint you." "The one you're disappointing," he said quietly, "isn't me, it's yourself." It was the first time I'd ever heard his voice sound that soft, like the steady drip of dew falling on dry soil, seeping into the cracks of my exhausted heart. Just one sentence from him was enough to make me understand everything I needed to. For the next week, I barely slept. The total hours I managed wouldn't have made up a single full day. But somehow, almost miraculously, I finished everything on time. Right after the final meeting, I collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. I really had fallen ill, but I'd succeeded. Even now, thinking back, I still believe it was worth it. I don't know exactly when Ethan, my boss at the time, started noticing me, but after that incident, his attitude toward me changed. He once told me, "What I admire most about you is your strength. You never bow down to anyone." And I never surrendered to myself either. It wasn't until after we got married that Ethan finally told me he had known everything back then, every hardship I was facing, but had chosen not to step in. "I believed you'd make it through," he said quietly. "And you did. You didn't let me down, and you didn't let yourself down either." He leaned in and kissed my forehead gently. "From now on," he whispered, "I'll never let you suffer even the slightest bit of pain again." I swear, every word Ethan ever promised me, he kept. Since being with him, it felt as if a light had been lit inside me, one that chased away every shadow, every trace of the darkness I'd once lived in. He illuminated my path with warmth, soft but strong enough to carry me forward. In the end, everyone deserves to be loved in the gentlest way possible. Who do you think needed healing the most in this story? Share your thoughts with Tiny Diary YT.